Do you believe it's possible to transform your life in just 7 days? It might sound hard to believe, but that's exactly what happened to me when I adopted 7 simple yet powerful habits that profoundly impacted my routine. I want to share these habits with you, not just because they worked for me, but because I genuinely believe they can work for you too. These habits aren't gimmicks or shallow tips you find everywhere. They are practical and thoughtful actions you can start implementing today. Together we'll face challenges, moments of reflection, and most importantly, the opportunity to become better versions of ourselves. So, if you're looking for more productivity, better mental health, or simply want to create positive changes in your life, I invite you to settle in, put aside distractions, and dive into this journey with me. I promise every minute will be transformational. Let's start with habit number 1. The first habit that transformed my life was waking up early. Before I began, I'll be honest, I was never a morning person. My bed was my safe haven, and hitting the snooze button was practically a daily ritual. However, I realized that this disorganized routine was affecting my productivity and my sense of control over the day. That's when I decided to give waking up at 5 in the morning a chance. The beginning was tough. In those first few days, every movement felt like a monumental effort, and I questioned whether this would even be worth it. But as the days went by, something magical began to happen. I discovered the power of early mornings. There's something almost mystical about being awake when the world around you is still asleep. The silence and calm of those moments helped me find mental clarity and a more intentional rhythm to life. With these extra hours, I was able to incorporate activities I previously never had time for, like light exercise, meditation, and even enjoying a quiet breakfast. One of the most memorable moments was watching the sunrise from my porch. Seeing the sky change colors and feeling gratitude for simply being present was transformative. If you'd like to experience the benefits of waking up early, you don't have to start radically. Try waking up just 15 minutes earlier and gradually increase the time. It's not about having more hours in the day, but about using them more mindfully. Habit 2. Daily exercise. The next habit that changed my life was incorporating daily exercise. I'll admit, I was never the biggest fan of physical activity. I always had an excuse ready: no time, too tired, or I'll start tomorrow. But I decided it was time to give it a shot and began with just 20 minutes a day. The first few days were challenging. My body was sore and I felt exhausted, but I pushed through. On the 4th day, I noticed a shift. I woke up feeling more energetic, more motivated, and most importantly, in a much better mood. Exercise became more than just a physical activity. It turned into a moment of self-care, a time to disconnect from the world and focus on myself. I vividly remember one morning during an outdoor run. The wind on my face and the feeling of freedom made me realize how movement connects the body and mind. If you're thinking of starting, you don't need to go all out. Choose something you enjoy, whether it's dancing, walking, or doing yoga. The type of exercise doesn't matter. Consistency does. It's amazing how this simple habit can transform not only your body, but also your mind. Habit 3. Daily journaling. Another powerful habit was journaling. At first I was skeptical. I thought it was something only people with lots of spare time did. But I decided to give it a try. For a week, I dedicated 10 minutes every night to writing. In the beginning, I didn't know what to put on paper. So I kept it simple, writing about how my day went, what brought me joy, or what challenged me. Soon I realized this habit was much more than just writing. It helped me understand my feelings, identify patterns in my thoughts, and find solutions to problems that once seemed overwhelming. One particularly tough night, I wrote about a stressful day at work. By the time I finished, I felt lighter and ready to face the challenges with a fresh perspective. Another transformative aspect was creating a gratitude section in my journal. Writing down 3 things I was grateful for completely shifted my focus. Small moments, like a pleasant conversation or a stranger's help, started to hold much more value in my life. If you've never tried journaling, give it a shot. It doesn't have to be complicated. Grab a notebook and start with a sentence or 2. Over time, you'll see how it can clear your mind and bring a deep sense of self-awareness. Habit 4. Eating mindfully. The 4th habit was something that completely changed my relationship with food: eating mindfully. Before this, my meals were often on autopilot, usually while scrolling on my phone or working. I decided to try something different. For a week, I turned off all distractions during meals. I set the table, took a deep breath before eating, and focused on every bite. The result was surprising. For the first time, I noticed flavors, textures, and aromas I'd never paid attention to before. Simple foods, like a bowl of soup or a slice of bread, became full sensory experiences. I also started to recognize signals from my body, like the feeling of fullness, which helped me avoid overeating. Additionally, I realized how often I used food to cope with emotions like stress or boredom. By paying attention to what I was truly feeling, I found healthier ways to deal with those moments, like going for a walk or taking a moment to breathe. If you'd like to try mindful eating, start with 1 meal a day. Turn off your electronic devices, take a moment to breathe before starting, and savor each bite. It's a simple yet powerful way to reconnect with your body and mind. Habit 5. Limiting screen time. The 5th habit was undoubtedly one of the hardest, but also one of the most rewarding: limiting screen time. We live in a digital world, and I was constantly connected, whether checking social media, replying to emails, or watching videos before bed. However, I began to notice the negative effects: anxiety, lack of focus, and even poor sleep. I decided to experiment and limit my non-essential screen time to just 1 hour a day. At first, it seemed impossible. My phone felt like an extension of my body, and every notification demanded immediate attention. But as the days went by, I started to notice the benefits of this change. The most impactful change was the amount of free time that suddenly appeared. I realized how much time screens had been consuming in my day. With this extra time, I started exploring hobbies I had long forgotten. I went back to reading physical books, drawing, and even tried learning some new recipes in the kitchen. One unforgettable moment was an afternoon I spent at a park. Instead of being glued to my phone, I walked leisurely, listened to the sounds of nature, and observed the people around me. That simple experience made me feel more connected to the real world, something screens could never provide. Another big change was in my sleep quality. Before, I had the habit of bringing my phone to bed, which extended my screen time and made it harder to fall asleep. By setting a limit and avoiding devices at night, I started sleeping better and waking up more refreshed. It's not about completely abandoning technology, but using it more mindfully. If you feel like screens are taking over your time, try setting small boundaries. Start by putting your phone away during meals or setting a specific time at night to disconnect. Gradually, you'll see how this can bring more mental clarity and balance to your routine. Habit 6. Practicing gratitude. The 6th habit that transformed my life was practicing gratitude. While it might seem simple or even cliché, acknowledging the good things in life can completely change your perspective. I started very simply. Every night before bed, I would write down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, I thought it would be hard to find something new every day, but I quickly realized that even the smallest moments deserved recognition. For instance, one day, I wrote about the comforting feeling of having a hot cup of tea on a cold day. On another night, I expressed gratitude for a conversation with a friend that made me smile. These little details, often overlooked, began to hold more meaning. The impact of this practice was profound. Instead of focusing on challenges or what I felt was missing, I began to see the positive side of every situation. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather adopting a more balanced and optimistic mindset. One of the most memorable experiences was a particularly tough day at work. Despite the stress, I made an effort to find something positive about the day and realized that a colleague's help had been a bright spot in the midst of the difficulty. Acknowledging this brought a sense of comfort and relief. If you want to try practicing gratitude, I suggest starting with something simple. Before going to bed or right after waking up, think of 3 things you're grateful for. It could be something big or small, it doesn't matter. What's important is building the habit of recognizing and appreciating the good things around you. Habit 7. Intentional silence. The 7th and final habit was intentional silence, something that seems simple but is incredibly powerful. We live in a world full of noise, notifications, conversations, endless tasks, and we rarely take a moment to simply be silent. I decided to set aside 10 minutes a day to practice silence. I turned off all my devices, sat in a quiet place, and let my mind slow down. At first, my head was full of thoughts, but over time, I learned to let them pass, like clouds in the sky. The impact was almost immediate. Those moments of silence brought a sense of calm and clarity that I hadn't experienced before. I began to notice that when my day became hectic or stressful, just a few minutes of silence were enough to recharge my energy and restore my balance. I remember one particular day when everything seemed to go wrong. I was on the verge of losing myself in frustration, but I decided to stop and practice silence. Those few minutes of pause helped me take a deep breath, organize my thoughts, and face the challenges with a fresh perspective. Intentional silence doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a moment spent in nature, a guided meditation, or simply sitting quietly and observing your breath. This practice, though simple, has the power to restore your inner peace and bring new clarity to your life. These 7 habits, waking up early, exercising, journaling, mindful eating, limiting screen time, practicing gratitude, and dedicating moments to silence, transformed my life in just 1 week. And the best part is that they're simple and accessible, ready to be incorporated into your routine in your own way. Remember, you don't have to do everything all at once. Pick one habit, try it for a few days, and see how it fits into your life. The key lies in consistency and intention. Small changes made with purpose can lead to extraordinary transformations. Now I invite you to reflect. Which of these habits would you like to adopt first? Share your experience and questions in the comments. Keep in mind that progress is not linear, and every step, no matter how small, is a step forward toward a fuller life. If you enjoyed these ideas and believe they could inspire others, don't forget to share this video, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. Let's transform everyday routines into extraordinary moments of self-discovery and growth together. See you in the next video. Keep evolving and striving for your best self. You deserve it.